The eternal flame of Babylon. The unearthed ziggurat. The desert stretched endlessly in every direction, a sea of golden sand rippling beneath the scorching sun. For centuries, caravans had passed through this barren wasteland, never knowing that beneath the dunes lay a secret older than any empire carved in stone. On that particular morning, as the wind carved new ridges into the earth, a group of archaeologists stumbled upon what would be the most dangerous discovery of their lives. Dr. Layla Haddad wiped the sweat from her brow as she crouched near the protruding slab of weathered stone. The slab was angled sharply against the sand, a remnant of something vast that had been swallowed by time. Her gloved hands traced the strange grooves etched into its surface, zigzag patterns, spirals, and jagged flames. She exhaled slowly. These weren't random markings. These were Akkadian cuneiforms, but mixed with something even older, something that predated recorded history. Layla, called Professor Marcus Kane, her mentor and the leader of the expedition. His voice was raspy from both age and the desert air, but his eyes still burned with the restless energy of discovery. He leaned over the stone, his expression shifting from curiosity to awe. This isn't just a wall fragment. It's part of a ziggurat, one that shouldn't even exist here. Babylon was far from this desert. If we're right, he trailed off, because both of them knew what it meant. If a forgotten ziggurat stood buried here, it could rewrite the history of Mesopotamia. The rest of the team gathered, brushing away more sand. As the slab revealed itself, it became clear that it was not the ruin of a small shrine but part of a massive staircase, descending downward into the earth. With each layer uncovered, the air grew warmer, not the dry heat of the sun, but a thick, stifling heat rising from below. The local workers shifted uneasily. Their foreman, a man named Yusuf, muttered something in Arabic, shaking his head. Layla caught only fragments: harem, fire of the gods, cursed flame. When Marcus asked him to explain, Yusuf's weathered face grew grim. My grandmother told me stories when I was a child, of a city swallowed by sand and fire. The priests lit a flame that never died. It burned so bright, even the gods feared it. They say the flame lies below the earth still, waiting for the foolish. He spat on the ground. Better to cover this again. Marcus dismissed it with a wave. Every myth begins with some truth, he said. And truth belongs to history. By dusk, they had cleared enough sand to reveal the top of the staircase leading underground. The stone steps were flanked by carvings of winged lions and human figures with blazing torches. Their eyes were inlaid with black obsidian that seemed to shimmer unnaturally in the fading light. That night, as the team camped near the excavation, the desert wind wailed like a chorus of voices. Layla lay awake in her tent, staring at the shadowed fabric ceiling, her mind restless. She thought of Yusuf's words, the flame that never died. She had grown up in Baghdad, where ruins whispered from every corner, and legends bled into daily life. But something about this discovery felt different. It wasn't just history, it was alive. At dawn, they descended the staircase. The deeper they went, the hotter the air became, as though they were walking into the belly of a furnace. The walls were covered in cuneiform inscriptions mixed with strange flame symbols no one recognized. Marcus photographed them feverishly, muttering translations under his breath. The flame was gifted by Anu, he said. It shall burn until the heavens fall. He who carries it shall command gods and men alike. Layla's skin prickled. Anu, the sky god of Sumer. But why would a Babylonian ziggurat reference Anu in this way? And what kind of flame could command gods? They reached a massive doorway carved with fire motifs. In its center was a relief of a man holding a torch that blazed not with fire, but with rays like the sun. Beneath it, an inscription read, "Enter only with reverence. For those who touch the flame without devotion shall burn beyond death." The doorway was sealed with thick slabs of stone. For hours, the team worked to shift them, sweat streaming down their faces as the unnatural heat poured out in bursts. Finally, with a thunderous crack, the seal broke. A rush of hot air blasted them, carrying with it the scent of something ancient, like charred wood and incense. Beyond the doorway lay a chamber bathed in dim red light. At its center stood a pedestal of black basalt, and upon it burned a flame unlike any they had ever seen. It was not orange or yellow, but a deep, luminous blue, flickering without smoke, without fuel, without end. The eternal flame. The chamber was lined with murals. One showed priests bowing before the flame, their faces lifted in ecstasy. Another depicted kings holding scepters tipped with fire, leading armies that conquered vast lands. A final mural was darker, figures writhing in agony, consumed by fire that spread not across their skin but from within the very bodies. Layla's breath caught in her throat. She felt both terrified and drawn, as though something inside the flame was calling to her. Marcus stepped forward, his voice trembling with awe. "Do you realize what this is? If this flame has truly burned for millennia, it's a scientific miracle. A religious artifact. Proof that the legends of Babylon held more truth than we imagined." The younger researchers approached cautiously, snapping photographs, sketching the murals. But Yusuf and the workers refused to enter. They stood outside the doorway, muttering prayers under their breath. As Layla approached the pedestal, she felt heat radiating not just into her skin, but into her very bones. The blue fire flickered, and for the briefest moment, she thought she saw shapes in it, shadows of figures moving, watching. Her breath quickened. The air grew heavy, pressing on her chest. Then she heard it, a whisper, faint, almost inaudible, but unmistakable. A voice speaking in a tongue older than Babylon, older than Sumer, a language her mind could not comprehend but her soul recognized. She stumbled back, gasping. "Did anyone else hear that?" she asked, her voice trembling. Marcus looked at her sharply. "Hear what?" But she could see it in his eyes. He had heard it too. That night, as the desert stars blazed overhead, the team argued around the fire. Marcus wanted to continue the excavation, to document everything. Others, shaken by what they had seen and felt, argued they should seal the ziggurat again. Layla said little, but her heart pounded with the weight of what they had awakened. Far away, a storm began to gather on the horizon, though the desert was months away from its rainy season. The wind carried with it the faintest echo of whispers, like a chorus of forgotten voices chanting in the night. And deep within the earth, the eternal flame burned brighter than before. Whispers of the gods. The storm broke earlier than anyone expected. By dawn, the desert sky was black, heavy clouds churning where there should have been nothing but endless blue. Lightning split the horizon, silent at first, then followed by a rolling thunder that shook the dunes. The archaeologists huddled inside their tents, listening as the wind howled like a chorus of angry voices. Layla sat awake, staring at her journal. Her hand trembled as she tried to sketch the blue flame, but every time she put pencil to paper, the shape slipped away. She couldn't capture its essence. It wasn't just fire, it was alive. When she closed her eyes, she still saw it burning, whispering, watching. Marcus burst into the tent, rain streaming down his face. "You hear it, don't you?" His voice was frantic, almost unhinged. His hair was plastered to his head, his eyes wild. Layla froze. "Hear what?" "The voices," he said, gripping her arm. "They're not hallucinations. They're real. That flame, it speaks. Not in words we understand, but in thought. I've been listening all night." Before Layla could respond, Yusuf appeared at the tent flap. His expression was pale, grim. "This is not weather," he said. "The desert does not storm like this. The flame has awakened something." He looked straight at Marcus. "You should have left it buried." By mid-morning, the storm had subsided, leaving behind soaked sands and an eerie silence. The team gathered near the ziggurat's entrance, debating their next step. Most wanted to leave immediately, return to Baghdad, report what they had found. But Marcus was adamant. "This is the discovery of the century," he argued. "We cannot abandon it because of superstition. We must record everything, the murals, the inscriptions, the flame itself." If we leave now, others will come, and history will be stolen from us. Layla felt torn. She respected Marcus, but she couldn't shake the memory of that whispering voice. The flame was not just an artifact. It was something older, something dangerous. Still, she followed when they descended into the ziggurat again. The chamber felt hotter than before, the air thick and oppressive. The eternal flame burned brighter, its glow washing the walls in a ghostly blue. Shadows flickered like living things. The murals seemed to shift when no one was looking. The writhing figures appeared more tortured, the kings more arrogant, the gods more wrathful. Marcus directed them to photograph every surface, to translate every inscription. One wall depicted a towering figure, robed in fire, descending from the heavens. Below him, mortals prostrated themselves, offering gold, animals, even human lives. The figure's hands reached downward, giving them the flame. The gods gave this to mankind, Marcus whispered, reverence in his tone. A gift of power, of dominion. But Yusuf, who had reluctantly entered this time, shook his head. No, not a gift, a chain. The gods do not give freely. They demand, they take. Layla's eyes were drawn back to the flame. It flickered violently as if reacting to their presence. She stepped closer, against her better judgment, and in that instant, the whispers grew louder. She clutched her head, staggering. The voice was clearer now. A chorus, overlapping, ancient, yet sharp as a blade. Child of dust, we remember you, we have waited. She gasped, falling to her knees. Marcus rushed to her side, but she pushed him away. Didn't you hear them? She cried. They spoke to me. The others looked uneasy, murmuring among themselves. Marcus's face, however, was lit with something close to joy. Then it has chosen you. Don't you see, Layla? The flame speaks to the worthy. That night, Layla dreamed of Babylon. She saw the city rising in all its glory, massive walls, golden temples, ziggurats piercing the sky. At the center burned the flame, worshipped by thousands. Priests in crimson robes chanted, their eyes glowing blue. Kings raised flaming scepters, leading armies that stretched across horizons. Then the dream shifted. The flame grew wild, consuming the temples, the streets, the people. Screams filled the air as fire poured from the sky like molten rain. The city crumbled into ash, swallowed by sand. She awoke drenched in sweat, her chest heaving. But the dream did not fade. It lingered, as if it were more than a dream, as if it were memory. The next day, Marcus gathered the team to break into a secondary chamber they had discovered behind a collapsed wall. It took hours of careful excavation, but eventually they pushed through into a vast hall lined with stone tablets. Each tablet was etched with accounts of kings who had ruled with the flame. Layla read one aloud, her voice shaking. King Naram took the flame into battle. His enemies burned before him. But when he claimed himself equal to the gods, the flame turned upon him. His flesh ignited from within, and his line was cursed forever. Another tablet spoke of priests who tried to extinguish the flame, fearing its corruption. They vanished, their temple swallowed by the earth. The last tablet ended ominously, the flame sleeps. It shall wake when the unworthy call its name. Then the gods shall rise again, and man shall bow or burn. The chamber grew unbearably hot. Sweat poured down their faces, their clothes clinging to their skin. Suddenly, the flame flared violently in the main chamber, though no one touched it. A booming sound echoed through the ziggurat, like the beating of a colossal heart. Panic rippled through the team. Some fled up the staircase, refusing to return. Marcus stayed, his eyes alight with obsession. Don't you see? This isn't a curse, it's divinity. The flame is a bridge between men and gods. But Layla could no longer deny what she felt. The flame wasn't just watching. It was waiting. That night, as lightning split the desert sky once more, Layla stood at the edge of camp, staring at the distant ziggurat. The whispers had not stopped. They coiled in her mind, beckoning her back, promising power, knowledge, eternity. She wrapped her arms around herself, trembling. She was beginning to fear that Marcus was right about one thing. The flame had chosen her, and it would not let her go. The awakening flame. The desert night never truly slept. Even in silence, the sands seemed to shift, whispering with secrets older than empires. But now, as the moon hung pale and swollen over the ruins of Babylon, the air carried a different weight. A presence. Layla sat alone, her knees pulled tight to her chest. Sleep had abandoned her. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw visions of the city, its glory, its fall, its screams. Yet the most haunting image was not the burning of Babylon, but the look of joy in the eyes of those who once bowed before the flame. Obsession, she realized, was its true power. It offered glory, knowledge, even eternity, yet demanded loyalty in return. She turned suddenly. A flicker of blue fire burned at the edge of the ruins, though no torch had been lit. It pulsed, like a heartbeat. Against her better judgment, she rose and followed. The flame led her deeper into the ziggurat, down passages she had not seen before. The murals here were different, not kings or priests, but ordinary people, their faces twisted in agony, their bodies writhing in fire. Above them, towering gods loomed, their eyes hollow, their mouths open in eternal command. At the center of the hidden chamber burned a brazier, its fire the same unnatural blue as the eternal flame. Layla gasped. It was smaller, weaker, but unmistakably connected. The whispers returned, louder now, insistent. Child of dust, bearer of memory, awaken what sleeps. Her hands trembled as she reached out, the heat searing her skin though she was still feet away. She wanted to pull back. She wanted to run, but the flame tugged at her very soul, drawing her forward. Just as her fingers brushed the fire, a voice cut through the silence. Layla. She turned to see Marcus, his face lit by the glow, his eyes wide. But there was no fear in him, only triumph. I knew it, he whispered, stepping closer. You're the key. The flame has chosen you. Together, we can bring back Babylon's glory. Layla staggered back. Marcus, listen to yourself. This isn't glory, it's a curse. It destroyed them. It will destroy us. But Marcus only laughed, the sound sharp, almost mad. Do you not see? Every empire falls because it lacks the courage to embrace true power. We have that chance. We can rewrite history. Before she could stop him, he plunged his hands into the smaller brazier. The fire roared, engulfing him. Layla screamed, expecting his flesh to char, his skin to melt. But when the flames subsided, Marcus still stood, untouched. His eyes glowed blue, his veins lit from within like rivers of fire. He turned to her, smiling. It accepts me too. The ground shook violently. Stones cracked, sand poured in through fissures, and from the main chamber came a deafening roar as the eternal flame surged higher than ever before. The others rushed into the chamber, drawn by the noise. Yusuf froze at the sight of Marcus, his face dark with dread. Fool, he spat, you've doomed us all. But Marcus only raised his arms, fire spilling from his fingertips like liquid lightning. I am no fool. I am chosen. I am Babylon reborn. The eternal flame exploded upward, a pillar of blue fire that tore through the roof of the ziggurat, lighting the desert sky. For miles, nomads and villagers alike saw the unnatural blaze and fell to their knees in fear. Layla staggered as visions poured into her mind. She saw the gods themselves, descending once more, figures of light and fire, their voices booming across the heavens. They demanded worship, sacrifice, obedience. She saw the kings of Babylon kneeling, their crowns burning into their skulls. She saw humanity enslaved by divine fire. And then she saw herself, standing at the center, holding the flame in her hands. When the vision ended, she was on the ground, trembling. Marcus stood over her, his gaze feverish. Do you see it now? This is destiny. You and I, we are the new kings and queens of the world. Layla shook her head violently. No, I won't be part of this. But the flame whispered louder than ever before, coiling inside her skull. You cannot run, child. You are ours. You are the vessel. The desert wind howled as the eternal flame surged higher, its light spreading like dawn across the ruins. And in that moment, Layla understood the truth. The flame was not just a relic. It was alive. It was waking. The curse reborn. The desert burned with unnatural light. The eternal flame, now towering above the ruins of Babylon, turned night into day. Its blue fire twisted across the sky like veins of lightning, and the very air trembled with heat and power. Nomads from miles away had gathered at the dunes, whispering ancient prayers, convinced they were witnessing the return of the gods. The archaeologists who hadn't fled stood paralyzed with terror. Only Marcus reveled in it, his arms outstretched, his eyes glowing like molten sapphires. Layla staggered to her feet, her heart pounding. The flame's whispers filled her skull, drowning out her own thoughts. They promised her dominion, knowledge, immortality. But beneath those promises, she heard something else, hunger. The flame did not want to share. It wanted to consume. Marcus, stop this, she shouted over the roar of the firestorm. You don't understand, it's using you. Marcus turned slowly, his face illuminated by the unnatural blaze. No, Layla, I understand better than you. For centuries, mankind has worshipped shadows, gods that take but never give. This flame changes everything. With it, we are gods. As he spoke, flames licked his arms, weaving around him like serpents. The ground cracked beneath his feet, splitting open to reveal more glowing fissures. From the depths of the ziggurat came a sound like 1,000 voices chanting in unison, an echo from another age. Yusuf stepped forward, clutching a weathered tablet he had retrieved from the ruins. His voice shook as he read, "The flame awakens when the unworthy call its name. When mortal hands dare claim the fire of the heavens, the gods shall rise again, and the world shall bow or burn." He dropped the tablet, his eyes narrowing at Marcus. "You are not chosen. You are cursed." But Marcus only laughed, his voice crackling with fire. "Cursed? No. Crowned." He thrust his hands skyward, and a wave of blue fire burst outward, knocking Yusuf and the others to the ground. Layla barely managed to shield her face. The heat was unbearable, searing her skin even from a distance. In that moment, she saw what Marcus refused to. The fire was eating him alive. His veins glowed too brightly, his flesh cracking, his smile twisting into something monstrous. He was not wielding the flame. The flame was wielding him. The whispers surged in Layla's mind, almost deafening now. "Join us, become one, through you, we rise." She fell to her knees, clutching her head. Her vision blurred, and suddenly she was no longer in the ruins but standing in the heart of ancient Babylon. The city stretched endlessly, its walls gleaming, its streets alive with worshippers chanting before the flame. Priests approached her, bowing low. "Bearer of the eternal flame," they intoned. "Through you, the gods return." Behind them, titanic figures of fire descended, their faces shifting between beauty and horror. They reached for her, their burning hands stretching across eternity. "No!" Layla screamed, forcing herself awake. She gasped for breath, the vision still burning in her mind. Marcus loomed above her, his body now barely human. His skin split with cracks of fire, his eyes nothing but twin orbs of flame. He extended a hand. "Stand with me, Layla. Together, we can end the age of weakness. The gods will bow to us." Layla's heart pounded. She remembered her father's words, the myths he had told her as a child, the warnings hidden in Babylonian tales. Power that promised salvation always demanded sacrifice. And the gods of old were not merciful. She rose slowly, staring into the heart of the eternal flame. Its roar shook her bones. She felt it inside her, waiting, demanding. If Marcus was its vessel, she was its key. And maybe, just maybe, she could lock it away. With trembling hands, she approached the flame. The whispers grew frantic, shrieking in her skull. Marcus lunged forward, but she raised her voice, shouting over both him and the fire. "You will not enslave us again." She plunged her hands into the flame. Agony ripped through her body, hotter than anything she had ever known. It felt as if her very soul were burning. But as the fire consumed her, she reached deeper, not to wield it, but to bind it. She thought of Babylon's fall, of the millions lost to the flame's hunger. She thought of Marcus, consumed by his pride. She thought of every generation that might suffer if this power were allowed to awaken. The flame screamed. The ziggurat shook violently, sand pouring into the chamber. Marcus staggered, his fiery glow faltering. "No, don't fight it. You're killing us both." Layla's voice was raw, barely human. "Better we burn, than the world." The flame exploded inward, collapsing into itself with a deafening roar. Marcus screamed as the fire ripped free from his body, devouring him entirely. His form disintegrated, leaving nothing but ash. Layla felt herself falling, her body dissolving into light. Yet in the final moment, she heard silence, the whispers gone at last. When the archaeologists awoke, the ziggurat was gone, buried once more beneath the sands, as if it had never existed. The eternal flame was extinguished. Only one figure lay upon the dunes, Yusuf, battered but alive. Of Layla, there was no sign. For centuries, legends would whisper of the eternal flame, of the archaeologists who sought it, and of the woman who sacrificed everything to keep it sealed. Some claimed she had died. Others believed she had become the flame's eternal guardian, watching from the shadows, ensuring it never rose again. And in the deepest silence of the desert, on nights when the wind carried strange voices, travelers swore they saw a flicker of blue fire, then nothing but darkness.